And just like that, the Washington Post story about how Pete Hegseth ordered that the survivors clinging to the side of a Venezuelan drug cartel boat were killed is being debunked by the New York Times. But of course, the damage has been done. The smear of the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and the Trump administration has been done. Somebody on social media said they knew it was all BS, but they needed a distraction after their seditious six got 2 of our soldiers shot and killed. They are evil, somebody posted. John Podhoretz on social media said, if this account is true, the Washington Post story is a genuinely vile slander of both Pete Hegseth and Admiral Bradley. The New York Times, it's kind of this is a big deal, because I'm not even sure I understand the controversy in the first place. I'm old enough to remember we put bullets between the eyes of Osama bin Laden and nobody batted an eye. What due process did he get? You do me a favor if you're squeamish about us blowing narco-terrorists out of the water as they're spiriting drugs into our country. Go ask a parent of a child who died from an overdose what they think. I have, because one of those parents happens to be a dear friend of mine. And he told me he is absolutely grateful for the Trump administration's efforts to prevent another tragic death of another parent's son. But they needed a distraction, so they thought they got it. Oh, war crime, war crime. Pete Hegseth, Admiral Bradley. There were 2 clinging to the side of a boat, and Pete Hegseth ordered them killed. Well, according to the New York Times, the Washington Post account is false. From the Times article, and I quote, the Post article did not provide context on when what order Mr. Hegseth gave, what its sources described as a spoken order to kill everyone. And again, is just to reiterate John Podhoretz's observation, if that's true, what the Washington Post did is a genuinely vile slander. New York Times took 5 reporters to come up to this conclusion that was published yesterday. Hegseth ordered lethal boat strike, but not the killing of survivors. I'm just trying to understand why the killing of survivors would be a war crime, as so many people are squawking about. Last night on CNN, Batya Ungar Sargon took the position and made the argument that this second strike story has been massively, massively misreported.
Well, first of all, the story has been massively misreported. So you have actual headlines saying that Hegseth gave the order for the second hit. That wasn't in the initial Washington Post article, which claimed that following, by hearsay, somebody claimed to have heard Hegseth say, we have to kill everybody, therefore the admiral gave the second hit. So I just want to clear that up. I think that's why Hegseth wrote the tweet, is to just correct the record. But what I don't understand is it is the Secretary of State's right to determine who is a terrorist and who isn't. The Secretary of State answers to the executive branch. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has determined that these boats are carrying terrorists, which makes the attacks on them legal. And the only question is whether that boat was disabled or whether it was destroyed. If it was destroyed, how were there still live people clinging to it? And if it was only disabled, let me just finish the point, then it was still a threat, meaning it was still a legitimate target. So I'm very confused. And by the way, I've spoken to a lot of veterans today who are also very confused by all of this bipartisan outrage. I don't get it.
Well, let's talk about the partisan outrage for a moment. I'm going to say something that I don't think is provocative at all. The Democrats are on the side of the narco-terrorists. There's no other way to describe this. That's the simplest, most concise, and accurate way to portray the partisan outrage. This is all coming from the left. This is all coming from Democrats. They're upset that we killed narco-terrorists. Again, go back to Osama bin Laden. Bullet right between the eyes. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. There's no due process. Tracy found stories about all the drone attacks under the Obama administration where civilians were killed. Remember the wedding party? Remember the things that happened? Well, these aren't civilians. These are enemy combatants. These are people bringing lethal drugs into our country. And Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, all of this has been thoroughly vetted. Military lawyers, civilian lawyers, they know these are bad guys. They are narco-terrorists. Hey, Democrats, how's it feel to know that your party's on the side of narco-terrorists? How's that feel? How's that feel to line up and support Luigi Mangione yesterday, like so many of you were doing? These lunatics who are fans of Luigi, fans of a guy who calmly and cowardly stalked a young husband and father and pumped his body full of bullets because he had some axe to grind about the healthcare insurance industry. How's that feel to be on his side? How's that feel to be on the side of people who are wreaking havoc in the streets of America and attacking ICE officers who are only enforcing our immigration laws? How does that feel? It's got to feel awful. It's got to feel terrible. I'm like Batya Ungar Sargon. I'm confused about how anybody could even pretend to be on the side of narco-terrorists. Maybe you can educate me. It's Giving Tuesday, and I've got some spectacular news to share with you about our Prison Fellowship Angel Tree campaign. More on that in just a moment. In the meantime, I want to put your voice front and center here on the Mike Gallagher Show. 800-655-MIKE. Can you explain to me why Democrats are willing to die on this hill? You want to defend narco-terrorists? You want to explain to the grieving parents of a young man or woman who overdosed on fentanyl why you're on their side? Can you explain that to me? There's even been some Republicans, Mike Turner, some of these other rhinos. Oh, war crime. This is a war crime. We got to court-martial people. We got to remove Admiral Bradley. Pete Hegseth has to step down. What? Because you're defending narco-terrorists? These are literally enemy combatants. They've declared war on America by bringing their poison into our country. The Trump administration is stopping them. You don't want them stopped? You want them to get to our shores and bring in their lethal drugs? Here's a text message from Pennsylvania on the MyPillow text line. Mike, I have 2 grandsons without a mother due to fentanyl and transported drugs. I've got no problem blowing up drug runners. Hey, Democrats, talk to that grandparent. Talk to the moms and dads of kids who've killed them, who've died from fentanyl overdoses. And then shed some more crocodile tears for the narco-terrorists.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.